What? Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Dahab Live. Hello. So last week we had the Annet did the DSD, and we're gonna jump into the briefing that Trisha was giving to Annet. And after that, we were talking about teaching and diving in Dahab. And so let's come and let's see what we're gonna do.
Don't forget to ask your questions in your own language.
Pueden preguntar en español.
Ja, in het Nederlands mag ook.
Arabic. Arabi.
Sie können auch Deutsch sprechen.
Kysykää kysymyksiä myös suomeksi, also på svenska.
And we'll answer them after the show. You can ask your questions when you are watching the video, and we'll answer them after the video. And if you have any questions, you can ask at any time.
Enjoy the show.
Enjoy!
Enjoy. See you after.
Exactly.
Skip a day.
And it's rare anyway. Yeah.
And speaking of perfect conditions, when I mentioned earlier, I said we were going to get into it a little more. Why do I think that Dahab is the best place to learn to dive? Well, we're in the Gulf of Aqaba. So on top of the visibility being spectacular, 360 days a year, the temperature is relatively warm because we're not depending on a boat to pick us up or schedule. It doesn't matter. We can get in the water, we can stand there, we have swimming pool-like conditions, which is what we're expected to have when we're teaching.
Yeah.
So no one's going to take you in to do this experience when it's nuts or there's a south. No. We want swimming pool-like conditions, meaning you can see me very clearly, and we have that almost the entire year.
Yeah.
And we can stand right there on the sand and work. There's no schedule, there's nobody pushing us. The learning just becomes more focused on the student and less on my needs of getting back on the boat to the dive center on time. I don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
I can do a mask skill with you again if you're like, I want to try it again, or I want to, no problem. And that's why I think it's one of the best places to learn.
Sure, so you swim in and you start from the shore again. Because with inexperienced divers, you always start from the bottom where you could stand, and then gradually you work deeper.
Especially for the beginners, when you start your diving in Dahab, you see so much
Yes.
from the get-go.
Yes.
You can see turtles, you can see so many other things right from your open water.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then when you're more experienced diver and you want to experience more or more difficult conditions, it gives you the perfect kind of base when you learn it here in easy conditions, and then you can gradually start going into more difficult diving. And you can find all that in Red Sea too.
Good morning and welcome. We're going to have a special experience today. I'm Trisha, and I'm going to be the visiting instructor for today. What does that mean? That I have Annet with me. She's actually going to do Discover Scuba Diving today. This is the first time she's doing this course, so you're actually going to get to be a part of that and see the experience exactly as it's going to go down. And like I said, I'm a visiting instructor here, and we're going to work with H2O divers today. That means we're working under the supervision of a local person who has a CDWS license. Really looking forward to it. And also, just as another note, we have Herman here. And Herman's going to be filming the underwater portion. So that's really exciting. He's also a dive instructor. He knows exactly what we're going to do. So he's going to participate today. And myself as the instructor, I don't make any films or do anything while I'm working with a student underwater. It's very important. So just in case you guys are wondering how we're doing this, that's how we're going to go about it today. So welcome. We're going to do a quick introduction for the day, and then we're going to do a detailed dive briefing, and then we're going to get in the water and see what happens. Yay. So, yay. So remember yesterday we talked about the skills. We do them for safety. Meaning, if you have a small problem underwater, you are able to solve that problem without going to the surface underwater. So we practice this in water that's shallow enough that we can stand up in case we feel uncomfortable. So that's why we're not moving any deeper until you're feeling confident. Okay? and we're going to get into a nice kind of diver looking position. So it's almost like we're laying near the ground, but we're going to just be floating above it just a little bit. And the first thing we're going to do is clear the regulator. So if I break contact with my reg underwater, it fills with water just a little bit in the mouthpiece area, in this part, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'll simulate that problem by taking the reg out, putting the reg back in, clearing it, and then saying that I'm okay.
Low.
Blow bubbles?
Yeah, blow bubbles.
Remember that one?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, why am I blowing bubbles?
That's to show that you're letting the air out.
Showing that I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah.
Yes, very good. So I'm gonna take the reg out, blow little tiny bubbles. I'm gonna put the reg back in, and clear the water out for regulator recovery. So instead of just clearing it, now we're going to recover it, then clear it. Okay,
But that's definitely a scary skill, I think, like this one. This is like,
you'll see it's super easy when you do
The clearing the regulator, and if you know if there's water in your mouth or not, because when you put your regulator in, you're gonna feel there's some water in your mouth, so naturally you want to get it out.
Yeah.
So it's like instinctive where now you're
Totally.
like,
Okay, so how am I going to do that? I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to clear a partially filled mask, okay? And you're going to go, okay. So I'm going to show you and I'm going to just fill it just a little bit with water. So we'll come out really nice and easy. We'll take our kit off here, rinse it off, and then we'll talk about the dive. And we might go over to the fish book and I'll show you some of the fun things that we saw. We'll fill out your logbook to log that you've had a dive. And that's everything.
awesome.
So that was my massive detailed briefing. Do you feel like you have a picture of it step by step?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
Diving! Let's go over. Yes!
See you later. See you later.
Yay!
How was it? Ask in the diving center.
Oh my goodness, that was so much fun. That was awesome. We saw so many things. I know. That was moray eel. Those eggs. Hi. We had fun.
Saw the little fish eggs.
You saw, okay.
Whole cluster of them.
I've never been able to show clownfish eggs to a DSD. Never. Okay.
That was really cool.
That was-
Like sometimes I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to tell me. Some dirty brand. Oh, now you can flip out.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Yes, Stevie, so you're welcome to do an additional dive with no class if you want, like Thursday or whenever we can fit it in. Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
So you go with none of the long briefing and you get more of a feel of just get in, relax, get out.
Yes.
Are you gonna take her into diving?
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
I thought it's only for Dahab Live.
You never know where these things lead.
Well, there was some happy faces.
Yay, Annet!
Well done.
Thank you.
Really, really well done.
Thanks.
Unbelievable performance after just a few minutes under the water. How did you feel about it?
It was amazing. Yeah. I was not expecting to feel that comfortable and to see that much. I thought I was just going to be, focused on, I don't know, just
The skills.
yeah,
Yeah.
just the skills and just
The
like
machinery
surviving.
around you.
But yeah, to actually see, some of the things that we saw, which were quite sort of small and detailed, like that was really amazing. Like I actually started to think, wow, it's beautiful here. I was looking up and like, ooh.
Needlefish.
Yeah.
Have you ever even heard anyone saying needlefish on DSD?
Yeah.
So on the first time ever you go underwater and you see something that in the past 8 years here in Dahab I've seen, I don't know, maybe 5-6 times
Wow, really?
Yeah.
that
altogether.
rare. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the big
In
school of
in
them.
more than 2,000 dives.
Yeah.
Just saying. That's incredible.
How deep did you go in this dive? Like how deep, and how deep could you go when you do the DSD?
Yeah, and I'm going to take an opportunity. That's a great question. And as you guys can see, Gracie's also asked the same question. So the maximum depth for Discover Scuba Diving, we're going to call it DSD a lot, so you'll hear that, is 12 meters. I like to keep it around 10 so that I have 1 meter for contingencies in case we just dip down a little bit. So 11 maximum. So I like to keep well within the range. There's so many beautiful things to see at all sorts of depths here. So we're very careful with our depth for certifications. So this is not a certification. It's just an experience to get your feet wet, literally.
Yeah.
It's the first step of diving. It's actually structured like the first part of an open water course, so they limit our depth to 12 meters here. And
So what do I need to do for the open water course if I want to do it? Like let's say Annet, she decide to continue and want to do the open water
Might
course.
do, yeah.
What she should do?
So
How long it takes? What she can do?
normally it takes about 3 to 4 days, and so you start with these basic skills and you explain more, and then you're gonna we did only a briefing now to like explain the basics, but when you do the open water course, then you're going more and more into depth and like build the foundation of diving. And if you complete the open water course, the last 2 dives take you to 18 meters. And this is also, if you take the open water course, this is what they say, like if you do your PADI or you have your PADI, that is what they mean with the open water course.
Why 3 to 4 days? Why it's not specific numbers? Why 3, 4, 4?
well, we go on the progression of the student, right? I mean,
Exactly.
that's the beautiful part of the system. It's like when Annette's comfortable with the skill, we move on. And the skills build and build. So we did a reg recovery and we did a partial mask flood and clear. So later on we do a full mask flood and clear. And it's as she progresses through it. So sometimes it takes 3 days, sometimes it takes 4, sometimes it's structured differently. You can do pool work. But if you're doing it all in one shot, 3 to 4 days.
Yeah. It was nice though to have a little bit of extra time, from living here. We obviously had the time to, stretch it out a little bit. And I think that was really nice to have that more, just to have more of a comfort level really that, you can talk about it and then next day do it. And it's just.
A lot of people from European countries, they do the first part of the open water in their own country, on their own language.
Yeah.
So people from Finland, they go and do the pool skills and their theory in Finland during the winter, when it's mainly dark and quite depressing. You have plenty of time to read, so you can dream about what you can do when the summer comes. And then they come here and do the open water parts. So the last 4 dives of the whole course they do here. They get the certification and then they have 6 days or 5 days of their holiday to do some fun dives
Yeah.
when they are already
Why-
certified. It's a
Why-
very handy way of doing it. You can split the course into your own country and then come here and just enjoy the diving and what we can offer.
Yeah.
If you don't have time to do the 3 to 4 days here.
Yeah, that makes
Same
sense.
for people living in Cairo. They can
It
do
is
this.
a very flexible course, yeah. So like we always make it fit to what you need or
Yeah.
what you've already done, like,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe if you can't finish it, there's also like many options to it.
Yeah.
And you talk about the fish like it's like a zoo. That you talk about this fish that I saw this
Yeah,
baby
yeah, yeah.
and I saw the eggs of the clownfish the first time. And what is you? How do you feel about this underwater things?
It's a passion for me. All of
Let's
us
follow all
living
of us,
here.
for sure.
Yeah.
I was a hiker before I was a diver, and I always felt like having that time in nature and seeing the wildlife. It's like that, but to an extent where there's wildlife all the time now. I mean, maybe you see a deer on a hike and you feel lucky, but like Sammy says it in the video, as soon as our mask goes underwater, there's a million things to see. And as you get to know them, it becomes like your knowledge just expands and
It's
you
like
see
your
more.
babies. You
Yeah,
keep talking
yeah.
to them like they're your babies.
And
And not only that, because when you dive in one place for a long time, like here, we know those fishes down there.
yeah.
We know the clownfish close to the lighthouse dive site. We know this clownfish family. We know who is going to be the next boss of that anemone home that they have. We know the turtles that come and visit us. We recognize them by their faces and their shields and formations on their shields. We know them and they know us. And they come and greet you if you've been friendly with them and respected their boundaries and not go too close and taken photos without flash. They let you come close
Yeah, I
to you
really
and you can take
like
photos
You
of them
say
again.
they know you, but
Yes.
I read a lot like them fish memory is like 5 seconds. How did they know you?
Well,
Fish memory, by study done last year by I think it was Berkeley University. Somebody can check them. Fish remember really well. They recognize their neighbors basically. They recognize other species living in their neighborhood, and they recognize, for example, there's a lot of fish like the goatfish that we just saw that work with other species. So if there's an octopus that is hiding inside coral reef, he's always kind of making a home for himself and removing sand with small crustaceans from inside the corals.
Yeah.
And the goldfish are patrolling outside waiting for the food, and they eat the crustaceans that he throws out as garbage. So it's really cool, and there's a lot of these kind of symbiosis that happen in marine life, and the corals work together with the fish, and a lot of these fishes are cleaning the corals and taking the rubbish out, and then there's the crabs that are eating the rubbish and so on. I mean, it's a circle of life, and it's just so.
I think
Like there's so much.
Like with everything, the more you get into it, the more you can probably learn about it, because your first thing is just, oh wow, it's so pretty here, that's kind of your first, oh look at all the colors, and then you start to learn, like, okay. And I think especially diving, because you're with an instructor who knows this fish is that and they do that and that's their behavior, and you really learn a lot more than just kind of snorkeling and going like, ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Talking about the coral,
Yeah.
like it's an animal. The coral is animal, or because it's a stone. Like we walk over it, and people say don't walk over it. You kill it. So is it an animal
Definitely don't
or
walk
like
over
what?
it. Yeah.
Can you tell me some about the coral?
Just say
some oxygen for Sammy.
Just saying, this will need a complete episode
Yes.
or several. But in short, it's not a rock, it's a living thing. It's not fully animal as you understand animals that walk around freely. The corals are living mostly in one place and they don't walk around freely. Some of them do move. Not all of them, but some of them do move.
Corals move?
Yes, very, very slowly, but they do move. They also they extend their colony to different area and it starts dying from where it was before. So therefore the colony has moved.
Right.
You know, so in a way they move, but mostly they work together with these very, very tiny animals that are living on the surface of the coral and helping them to clean, to get food and so on. And it's a symbiosis again of two different species working together for common goal, to provide us oxygen, to provide us small fish, the home for the small fish babies to grow big enough to survive in the sea, and so on, and
Coral
stop
provide
aeration
oxygen.
of the.
Coral provide oxygen.
Well, they help on the building blocks of a phytoplankton that is then providing 75% of the oxygen of our planet.
75%. So all the Amazon, and we hear that they provide the planet with oxygen.
All the woods in the world provide only 25%. We could probably even survive without them, oxygen-wise. But then again, they also clean carbon dioxide and so on. They have lots of other functions, so we wouldn't survive without woods. But oxygen-wise, sea is the one keeping us alive.
And it's very hard to grow. I heard like it's 1 centimeter every year or something like that.
Yeah.
Coral.
Depending on the
that,
coral
I think.
species,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
few millimeters to few centimeters a
Few
year.
millimeters a year.
Yes,
Wow.
depending on species. Loads of species.
So all this coral must take millions of years to grow and to be the way they are.
Yeah.
Well, it's not quite millions, because for a while the Red Sea was cut off. So it started to come back to life when the channel opened to the Indian Ocean. So, but we're talking tens of thousands of years. Yeah. And if you see these giant brain corals, like if you go to islands, those are massively old. Yeah. And they've been there way longer than we have. So we'll try to never step on them and protect them as much as we can.
I don't step in them. I just was asking the question because many people does so. I don't step in them.
So Annette,
just to make it clear.
are you gonna do your open water?
I think I might.
Right.
We have another diver in the family.
So about the current, you were saying there is some places that has much current than here, and the current here is nice and stuff like that. Well,
We have great conditions, like we were saying on the video, and definitely current. We should do some stuff from Brothers, and we can show you guys
Or Tirana
real
Island
current.
or flood. Sure. There are pretty good, very effective currents in Red Sea, but mostly on the big Red Sea. Not so much here. There's some natural formations that create occasional current here that you need to be aware of. But
as well here to
we tell always people where to be and
start.
how to be there so that it's safe for everyone, whether they're snorkeling or diving.
Should we say a special diver shout out in case Shelly is watching? She's one of the turtles in the bay. So hi, Shelly.
Oh yeah, we're waiting to meet
Hi.
you, Shelly. We still haven't seen you. Come out next time, will you?
Soon.
who's Shelly?
She's
Turtle.
one of the
Turtle?
turtles living in the lighthouse.
Do they have
area.
names now?
Well, most of them. Dave and Shelley live at the lighthouse, so they are mostly on the same places, and they sleep in the same places normally, so you know where they sleep.
So what other names? What other fishes do you give names?
Well, we'll have to tell you about it when we keep investigating underwater. But Shelly is named because she has a little barnacle on her shell. So that's how she got her name. We love visiting
I'm
her.
sure we'll do a lot more diving episodes in the future.
Oh, yes, we will.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us for this first diving episode on Dahab Live. Thank you, Annet, to being our brave student.
Well, thank you very
wow,
much.
how good she was. So, next week, anything in mind?
Thanksgiving coming next week.
Oh, we got Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is coming.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
we will take you to part of our social life and have a Thanksgiving dinner with you next Monday.
Yay. See you next
Yay.
Monday.
See
Thanks
you.
for watching.
Don't forget to ask your
Bye.
question when you watch the video, even if it's not live. We'll answer it next week.
Myös suomeksi.
Bye.
Adios.
Nederlands.
Tschüss.
بالعربي.
Doei doei.